Hello all. In the previous videos, we spoke about authorization code flow. As I have already mentioned, there are four types of authorization grants, out of which we have discussed the authorization code flow. Like client request for authorization code from the authorization server, and then what it does is it will pass authorization code to the authorization server to get access token. Okay, so we have discussed that once it gets the access token, it can talk to the resource or the resource server. Like if it is a Google Drive, it can talk to Google Drive saying to to give access to the photos or any documents. Okay, we have discussed that flow. Now in this video we will talk about the implicit flow. The second one is the implicit flow, and the third, fourth, resource owner credentials and the client credentials flow, these are not so famous, so we will not be touching about these flows. We'll talk about only the implicit flow in this video. So in the implicit flow, there is only a single step. Like as in authorization code, initially it will not ask for the authorization code, and then it will not exchange authorization code for the access token. You don't have those two calls. So what client does is, it will third party application, be it a printing service or any website like Instatext or any other website that can access the GitHub or any third party application. What it does is, it will talk to resource authorization server. Like it will make a HTTP GET request call to the authorization server by passing few parameters. Okay, and it asks for the access token. It will not ask for authorization code. So client makes a call to authorization server requesting access token. What authorization server does here is, it will check all the parameters that are present in the request, and if everything is valid, it responds back with the access token. And in the previous video we already spoke, right? So before requesting for the before sending the access token, before generating the access token and sending back to the client, authorization server, what it does is, it will get the consent of the user, resource owner, and as well as it will identify the it will check the identity of the user as well, which means that it will it will ask the user to log in and verify its identity, post which it will ask the user for its consent. Once those are done, then only it will generate an access token and send back to it. Okay, so it's same as the first flow what we discussed. It's just that you don't have this authorization code, and you might wonder, like, this looks so simple. Like you just make a call, get an access token, and using that access token you can access whatever you want or whatever the user has provided permissions. But like you might wonder that there are two layers in the authorization code, which is an additional process. Okay, and even to understand, you have to understand two to three endpoints, right? So but the benefit of the authorization code flow is security. Because now here, if you see, if any user, like if any hacker or any malicious application, authorization server, it will redirect whatever the callback URL you specify during the registration. To that callback URL, it will add the access token, right? So now in case if any third party, like if any hacker or malicious application steals this access token, then there is no security of your protected resource. So this particular method is a less secure compared to the authorization code flow, because in authorization code flow, first you will get the authorization code, and then you will exchange that authorization code for the access token. And even when you are requesting for the access token by passing the authorization code, even if hacker steals the access code, it will check for the client secret as well. So that process is much secure than this. Okay, and this is less used. This implicit flow is less used, but it is used for the older applications. But this is like, we can discuss about this. Okay, now let us see what is the request that goes from client to the authorization server in authorization code flow. So here if you see, this is the request that we are sending for the authorization code, right? So here the only change is response type. Instead of code, what you can do is you have to add as a token. Okay, so instead of the code, you have to change it to the token, and everything is same. Like you have to provide the client ID and you have to specify the redirect URL, scope, state, everything is same. Like you can refer my previous video to understand about each and like each parameter here, to understand how each parameter works and which are all mandatory fields. The only difference here is the response type is token. Okay, now if all these things are validated, like client ID, redirect URL and everything is validated, what it will does is it will redirect to your callback URL, whatever redirect URL you have specified either here or during the client registration. It will redirect, the third party application, like it will redirect to this particular URL by adding access token. Okay, like in the URL you will get this access token and you will get what is the type of token and in how much time it will expire. Okay, but if you see in the authorization code flow, what you were getting just the code here. Okay, but here instead of the code you get the access token and the token type and in how many milliseconds it will get expired. Okay, now when you get the access token, what you can do is like it responds back with the access token, and what you can do is you can talk to the resource owner by giving this access token. Okay, here if you see, if there is anything, like if there is any mistake or error that happens in the redirect URL, which means that if if a hacker finds your redirect URL, or if a hacker like changes this redirect URL and gives their redirect URL, then your access token is stolen. Okay, so that is a security consideration you have to consider when you are opting for implicit flow. Okay, I hope it is clear. Like it is very simple. You have to, like whatever you have passed for the authorization code flow, it is the same thing. But the only thing is you have to change the response type from code to the token, and in the response what you do is you get this access token. Okay, yeah, hope you understood the implicit flow. And one more thing is, like, to simplify how this authorization works, let us consider you have checked into hotel. Okay, and in the reception itself, what you like, you verify your identity, like I have already booked room from this date to this date, like from so and so dates to so and so dates. Then what receptionist does is it will check your booking details. Okay, and if your booking details are valid, then it will give you a key card, right? So basically the key card is used to access your room. Okay, so what happens is, like after verifying your booking details, receptionist gives you key card, and using the key card you can go to your room and you can access it. Okay, and that key card is valid only for some time, right? Only for some time, only till you have booked your room, not only till you have booked your room, that key card is valid. So authorization flow is also the same. Okay, a third party application requests for, like it requests for the access. So what you do is, like how you are giving the key card, the application gives you the access token, and how you access your room, the third party application can access your photos only for certain period of time, because even the key card is valid only for certain amount of certain period of time, right? So the same thing here, you can compare this hotel application scenario with your authorization flow. Key card is similar to the access token, and the expiry of the key card is similar to the access token expiration time. Okay, yeah, this is so simple, you can consider that. And let us see, let us recap the things. Okay, so now this is the basic abstract flow of the auth, which we have already discussed it. There is this third party application and the user, authorization server and the resource server. So first, third party application, what it does is it will make authorization request. So if it is an authorization code flow, what you will, like you have to request user be token or the code, and in response what you will get is, if it is an authorization code flow, authorization grant, here it will give you the code. Okay, and in the third step what you have to do is you have to talk to authorization server by passing the authorization code. What authorization server does is it will give you the access token. Okay, once you get the access token, third party application, it will talk to the resource owner saying, I have, though I don't have your credentials, but I have the access token, like which has the set of permissions that I can access. So you provide me these photos or the documentations. So what resource server basically does here is it will check the access token. Okay, it will check, like the access tokens are also of multiple kinds here. Few can be self-encoded access tokens and few are not self-encoded. When I say self-encoded access tokens, access token itself has the information. What is the client ID, what is the client secret, and how long it is valid, how long the access token is valid, and what are the permissions that this access token has. So if all that information is encoded in the token, then you call that as a self-encoded, because the token itself has the information. That is why you say self-encoded. So what resource server does is it will decode the token and it will check the it will check different things, and if that is valid, then it will provide the third party application photos or the user details, anything. And if it is not a self-encoded access token, like resource owner or the authorization server has the details, like when the token gets expired in its database. Okay, so it's up to the implementation of the authorization server and the resource server. And here, if it is implicit flow, what happens is when you make an authorization request for the first time, so what it gives you is access token. Fourth step will get executed, and the second step and the third step are not there in the implicit flow. And once it gets the access token, what it does is it will talk to the resource server by providing the access token, and in return it will get the user attributes. Okay, now we can see this flow as well. So it will request for the access token. Okay, like if you see the implicit flow, it will request for the access token. What authorization server does is it will verify the client, because before asking for the user consent, it has to verify the client as well, because client has to log in. Otherwise, without verifying the client identity, you can't ask the consent of that, right? So what it does is it will show login page to the client, and that login page is of the application's login page, this resource server login page, nor the third party application's login page. That is the main difference we have to notice here. And once the user consent is provided, then it returns the access token. Okay, and what this client does is it will talk to resource server in the fifth step. Okay, and what resource server does is it will validate the token. Okay, if the token is valid, then it will return the resource. Okay, this is the simple flow. Hope you understood both authorization code flow and the implicit flow of OAuth, which is very important.